You're with NewsMakers. On the panel this week, Kathryn Dalziel, David Round and Christopher Hutching. Now, we are going to look at swine flu. The United Nations has just declared a global flu pandemic. This is the first in 40 years. And, of course, it follows the steep rise in transmission across the Tasman. Should we be afraid, and just how afraid? Kathryn.
Oh, I think that we should behave as we always should when we get the flu and look after ourselves and things like that. And I don't think we should be too afraid, because at the moment the strain doesn't appear to be too bad, and that may build up some immunity within the community, which will be really good as well. Looks like the government's taking a proper and appropriate action. Ministry of Health's reacting properly. So I think it's all fine. I'm just looking forward to having a few days off work and wallowing around in a bit of mud.
Chris, as a healthy sceptic as you are when it comes to lines that authorities feed us, I'm just keen to get your thoughts on this. I recall back in April when the whole swine flu fever sort of blew up around the world. The Director General of the World Health Organisation, Dr. Margaret Chan, said, quote, "The world's entire humanity is under threat." Now that to me just reeked of sensationalism and, gratuitous kind of rhetoric. Your thoughts?
There is quite an industry around the disaster warning area. It doesn't exist just in the health department, but civil defence is another one. Now, I know some people who work for these organisations, and very well-meaning, some of them, but there are a number of them that get very excited, and I think they just revel in the horror, shock, gloom that may be coming. Now, to me, it's like a car accident. It might happen to you, hopefully not. You keep your seatbelt done up, you drive carefully. But there's not too much point in sitting there and freaking out about it.
I noted that Dr. Chan last night said, yes, we have declared a pandemic, but don't panic. Well, arguably she panicked the whole world a couple of months ago.
That's right.
How seriously are you taking this?
Well, I must admit, I'm actually just ever so slightly excited about this. I don't think I've ever been in a pandemic before. I feel a little bit like Piglet when he discovered that he was on an island completely surrounded by water. But I am stocking up, and I'm getting some more ammunition for my shotgun, just because I have to live on possum stew, so I can shoot varmints. And at the same time, I'm not looking forward. I don't think we're going to be seeing carts going down the streets with cries of "bring out your dead."
Right. Port Levy is not in lockdown yet?
I don't think the contingency subcommittee has yet met with
You haven't even erected the gates yet, have you?
I want to know more about a chap called David who's got a shotgun.
You don't have a caravan out there, do you?
No caravan. No sisters.
What about this position that our health authorities are taking, both the Ministry of Health and our Medical Officer of Health? He was on News Talk ZB this week saying 1 in 3 Cantabrians will get swine flu. It's a very emphatic kind of statement. How do they know that? How do they know that?
Well, nobody knows it, obviously, but I suppose he's going on trends. But, I don't know. These guys, as I say, they seem to be very good at forecasting doom and gloom, a bit like the economics reports that we've had for the last 3 or 4 months. I know that, there are some places overseas that are suffering much more economically and perhaps from swine flu. But we seem to import these ideas uncritically.
All right.
Yeah, without minimising the, the precautions we should all take in terms of health and hygiene and things like that. I've still got water in my garage from 2000, ready for the complete world shutdown that was going to happen when the clocks turned over. So, yeah.
Yes. And I still have my Tamiflu, which has probably now passed its use-by date for the bird flu. Yes, but I might be able to use it for this. I'm sure it's good for a year or two later.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Now, the local government minister, Rodney Hyde, is gearing up to clamp down on councils. This was an election pledge he made as well, wasn't it? He wants them to focus on core services and put other big spending decisions to a public vote. Let's put it to the panel. Is it a starter for 10? Chris?
I'm very mixed on this one because Rodney's obviously using this for his own political ends, which is kind of curious in a way because he's trying to bring everything back to a centralised control, which is rather odd because that's sort of a Stalinistic leftist sort of viewpoint. However, aside from that, on the one hand, the City Council frustrates a lot of us because we think that they are not democratic and that they manipulate, and I think they do. On the other hand, should local people be able to push things in the direction they wish? Now, a different council, Environment Canterbury, is under flack this week for the same reason. That is to say, it hasn't been able to process consents quickly enough. And yet, if we had a system whereby you went along to Environment Canterbury and you wanted a water well and they just ticked the box, imagine what sort of trouble they'd be in then with the public. So it's a very difficult course for them to steer.
Do you think perhaps our City Council, the People's Republic of Christchurch, is the classic case in point when it comes to the fact that a lot of people probably perceive our City Council as the ultimate municipal empire because it gets itself involved in so many aspects to our life, you know, trading activities galore. Should there be some revisitation over that?
Oh, me? Yeah. Yes.
Either either. Piglet, come on down.
Righto. Local government is the least accountable part of government in New Zealand. We watch what happens in Wellington intensely, but we have no idea what is happening around council. The news media don't report it, and in fact, that's probably cause and effect. The news media don't report it because it's so boring and unimportant, we think, and people don't look at it. But consequently, we've got no idea of what is going on. And local government, there's no doubt that it does engage in a vast amount of empire building over and above what are core services. It's got entirely the wrong attitude to rates. It simply thinks, oh, let's do this and this and this, and put up the rates, instead of thinking, as it should, righto, what income do we have? Let's cut our coat to suit our cloth. I don't have any problems at all with Rodney Hyde taking a bit of a knife to local government, and I don't have any problem with local government sticking to core services.
Kathryn.
Well, I'd like to know what core services are. That's the difficulty that we have. Well, Rodney wouldn't, but I'm glad you're here to do that for him, because he certainly wouldn't. And what worries me is that what he says is that local government should get out of social spending, environmental spending and cultural spending. And every now and then I sort of think, oh, look, I'm having trouble biking through Hagley Park because there's a jolly big flower show in the middle of the way. Then on the other hand, I'm lining up for all the buskers and take my children down, and I love street theatre and things like that. So I quite often think there's swings and roundabouts, and I'd hate to see a referendum every time we're looking just to move our city forward.
If Rodney really got his way, he would like to see councils having no libraries, for example, and bring it right back to core. Now, I think it's wrong, but you brought up an interesting point before about why our media does not critically appraise what's going on, and the reason they don't is because they're bought off. Now, recently we had a vote for this Henderson master plan. It was done on the Friday. On the Saturday, we had full-page paid advertisements from the City Council in the press, and then they subsequently appeared in the Star. Now, you cannot get that organised within 6 or 5 hours. It's impossible. It was all set up already because they know they can manipulate and push things through as they wish. That day they did not hold a media conference. They massaged a couple of news media outlets, the press and the Star, and they had a secret meeting of some businessmen beforehand. Now, this is the kind of thing that's going on every time there is a major decision, and there's about 5 or 6 lackeys around the mayor who will unfailingly vote his way, and the rest of them get bamboozled.
There you go. Chris's assessment. We will take a break. Coming up very shortly, eco bulbs, and we'll wrap up the week with heroes and villains. Do stay with us.